why don't we talk about Kyrie Irving? Because this story is a big one. And I don't know what to necessarily make of this.
Right.
Because it is Kyrie apologizing. He apologized on Instagram, and you can't really see that, I know. But I wanted to show you that this is Kyrie's apology so that you know that I'm reading this directly from his Instagram, because I do think it's important to read his apology.
Right.
And I'll read it. I'll read this one section verbatim because I think this matters. Kyrie Irving said, to all the Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my post, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologize. I initially reacted out of emotion to being unjustly labeled anti-Semitic, instead of focusing on the healing process of my Jewish brothers and sisters that were hurt from the hateful remarks made in the documentary. I want to clarify any confusion on where I stand fighting against anti-Semitism by apologizing for posting the documentary without context and a factual explanation outlining the specific beliefs in the documentary I agreed with and disagreed with. I had no intentions to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuate any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event, and I hope we can find understanding between us all. I am no different than any other human being. I am a seeker of truth and knowledge, and I know who I am. Do you believe him?
No.
You don't believe him?
No, not even a little bit.
Okay, so let me ask you this. He apologized.
Did he?
I think that is a good apology.
I don't think it's legitimate. I think, how do we know he wrote it? How do we know that Kyrie's putting the effort in?
But on the surface level, I feel like he was forced to apologize. We were talking to one of our NBA sources last night, and he told us that the Nets told Kyrie Irving, you will apologize or we are going to part company. Joe Tsai directly communicated, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, we were told by an NBA source, directly communicated to Kyrie Irving that you will apologize or essentially we will cut you. And they will cut him for cause using the morals clause in the NBA. Every NBA contract has a morals clause. They suspended Kyrie 5 games without pay for bringing harm and disrepair or essentially damaging their reputation. So they suspended him for cause without pay. And they would have cut him and refused to pay him for the exact same thing. There is that. Was he forced to apologize? I think he was. Is this apology genuine? I think when somebody says they apologize, and the line that I think matters most is where he said, to all the Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my post, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologize. But here's the problem. He's not apologizing for posting it. That's the thing that's stuck in my craw. Is he apologetic? I'm sure he is. This has cost him, again, more millions. Do I believe him? On some level, I take it at face value because he's saying he's sorry. But I don't think he's sorry for being anti-Semitic. I don't believe, in my opinion, he's sorry for having posted the links. I think he's sorry that there's outrage about it. Because you also, do you have that video? I don't know if we have that video. I don't mean to be caught off guard here. But you also don't do what Kyrie did right here and expect there to be no repercussions. So here's the timeline from the Nets. Kyrie Irving makes this post, meets with the media. We played the video yesterday where he fights with Nick Friedel from ESPN during a press conference. The Nets said to him, as I tweeted the other day, hey, that's not good. We did not like that. You need to do better. So yesterday, Kyrie was put in front of the media by the Nets again with their assumption he would apologize, but instead did this. And that is him parroting Kanye West. And I think that was just the final straw. As it was explained to me, the Nets wanted him and expected him to apologize, and he refused. And they suspended him for 5 games without pay for conduct detrimental and damaging to the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets did that. And then almost immediately, he began crafting an apology. And he released it on Instagram. Do we know he wrote it? No. The first thing I thought was, and by the way, the other part of this, and I don't want to undersell the lead here. Do you remember the story where Kyrie Irving donated $500,000 and met with the Anti-Defamation League? Well, turns out Kyrie didn't meet with the Anti-Defamation League. He sent his stepmother, who is also his agent, he sent his stepmother to meet with the Anti-Defamation League. So in kind, the Anti-Defamation League refused his $500,000 donation. And once the Nets heard that, once he refused to apologize, they suspended him. And then he crafted an apology and posted it on his Instagram. I believe that he wrote it. I do believe he wrote it. Is he sincere? I don't know. My question is, why didn't you cut Kyrie Irving? That's my biggest question. And that's the thing that I'm having trouble reconciling. Why did you not cut Kyrie Irving? Because if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I would have cut Kyrie Irving. You know, like I just would not have, I wouldn't tolerate it.
Yeah, I don't understand why. So this is what I don't understand, and this is my problem. Kyrie Irving is on video in the press conferences that we just played you, right? All this is on video.
Yeah.
And that's where all the issues come from. Yet we're willing to accept an apology on Instagram?
That's
like,
when
I don't understand this. Like, why is he not put back in front of the media and forced to speak it, right? Writing it is one thing. Speaking it should be the bare minimum here. You should have to say, hey, man, I messed up here. And I do sincerely apologize. That's why I don't believe he wrote it. That's why I don't believe it's genuine. That there's no difference between sending your agent / whatever you said, stepmom or mom or whatever to the Anti-Defamation League and her writing this for you.
Yeah.
Like there's no difference. And I'm not going to give Kyrie Irving the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. What he deserves is to be cut and not play for a while. That's what he deserves. What's going to happen is he's going to be suspended, obviously, and deal with it. But that's why I have issues with this.
Yep. By the way, Teddy Wayman says Kyrie was about to be out of a job. That's why he apologized.
I completely agree, dude.
Yep. Salty Drunk says, I think the word you were looking for is disrepute. Yes, that's exactly the word. Yeah. Kenai Johnson says, Kyrie was forced to apologize for this. If he was forced, then he never would have apologized. No, I agree. I don't think he ever would have apologized. And it's why, like when I heard the other night and I tweeted the other night that the NBA told the Nets they were not going to take action against Kyrie, I think that empowered Kyrie. And that's why the Friedel thing happened. And then, the second media. I just think that we're watching Joe Tsai evolve as an owner. The owner of the Nets is a guy named Joe Tsai.
Yeah.
You're watching Joe Tsai evolve as an owner. You can't throw money at things and think it's going to get better. And Teddy, I think you're exactly right. He was out of a job, and that's why he had to apologize. Justin Salas says this is not his apology. I majored in public relations, and this apology was 100% written by his publicist. Probably. Tom Basilius says, remember when the Steelers went like 9-0, lost all the remaining games? I do. And it was a good day. Did Kyrie really just quote all lives matter, that response? Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the worst part of it. And I think, again, there's what's that word? Empathy. I think there's that word. I think Kyrie has no empathy for the Jewish community. And it's that whole, hey, well, yeah, Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. Well, because you don't have empathy for what Black Americans are going through with the police at that time. Kyrie has no empathy for what his words have done to the Jewish community and the damage that the words, the writings, the documentary that you published has done to the Jewish community.
Facts.
You have no empathy for the Jewish community. You have no idea. You don't care. That's the biggest problem. And especially in a place like New York where the Jewish community is so prevalent.
Yeah.
And it's such an important part of the New York melting pot. To say those things and do those things in any part of this country is horrendous. But when you say and do those things in New York, come on. Come on now. Robert Lambert says, I didn't see that as an apology. Josh Leverage says, Kyrie is like water. He seems to take the path of least restriction and keeps it moving. I would agree with that. Absolutely. Boyd Lake says, it's written so that there's no mistake in delivery. Oh, that's a great point.
But here's my deal, right? You're not wrong about that, Boyd. My problem is that pressure of not mistaking your delivery is what makes an apology genuine.
Yes.
Right? The forcing Kyrie Irving to sit down and be genuine and say, yes, that was a mistake. I should not have said those things. They do not reflect me as an individual and who I am. I am not anti-Semitic. I am not someone who hates people because they're Jewish, which is the message that you've been sending for the last 2 weeks. That's my thing lately. I feel like in media relations, these guys get up there, say whatever the hell they want, and then are not forced to get right back up there and face the music. And that's my problem.
But this all goes back to that Alex Jones thing he tweeted.
Yeah.
It's ugly. And I think it's really difficult. The way I would handle this if I were the Nets, I would have Kyrie sit down with, and this is where you miss Rachel Nichols, because this is the Rachel Nichols wheelhouse right here. But I would have Kyrie sit down with, I would probably have it be Shaq or Richard Jefferson, a former player, and I would have him do a one-on-one apology interview. That's what I would do.
I have to tell you, my opinion is, I don't think there's anything wrong with that solution, but I don't want to leave any doubt that Kyrie Irving is being genuine in what he's saying. So, a lot of people in today's culture, we oh, well, they edited that interview. They cut that interview. They made him look good, right? A lot of people will say that about interviews like that. So that's why I say they're overcomplicating this on some level. If you would just...
Oh, I agree with that.
If you would just put his ass in the chair, make him make a statement. And what it really should be is it should be Joe Tsai, right? Sean Marks and Kyrie Irving.
The owner, the GM, and the player.
Those three guys at a table. And what should happen is Joe Tsai should make his statement and say what he wants to say. Then Sean should go. Then Kyrie should go.
I don't know. I think this is a Kyrie Irving problem, and it's become a Nets problem because it's Kyrie. And I think if I am, Kyrie has got to, and I know some people have suggested on Twitter that he sit down with Nick Friedel. You're only going to get one shot at this. And if you want to handle this correctly, it should be with a former player because player culture in the NBA matters. And you should sit down and you should say, hey, I was wrong. I have completely botched this. And he needs to be, the problem is I don't think Kyrie believes that.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. And I think that's probably why you won't see him in front of the media much. But when he comes back from this 5 games, and I think they will have him back after this 5 games, when he comes back from this 5 games, he has got to sit in front of the media. But again, you know what I go back to? Why is this guy still on your team? I understand why Kevin Durant's on your team. I totally get it.
Facts.
Why is Kyrie Irving still in your organization? He should be a Laker. This should be a Laker problem. You should have traded him to the Lakers. Period. Full stop. End of story. You should have done that over the summer, and you didn't. You got greedy. You should have traded him to the Lakers. The minute he opted in, you should have traded him to the Lakers. And you should have picked up the $10 million on Russ's contract and been done with it.
Yep.
Period. Full stop. That's it. I just don't know. I don't know, man. Mike Maples says, thanks for the ticket, friends. Kyrie has always been contentious, and he buys into conspiracy theories. That's what my wife said.
Yeah.
My wife made a really good point last night. We were laying in bed, both dying, and she was coughing up one of her lungs. And between phlegm spits, she said, this goes back to his flat earth thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's that guy that's always shared that type of thing. And I just think there's this sect of America right now that just thinks they can say whatever the hell they want to say.
And you can't.
And you can't do that.
You can't. Mike says, not buying the apology, but it's hard to stomach him getting suspended and not Draymond. I see,
but I don't. Okay.
I think these are two different things, Mike. And Mike and Eric and Raleigh were tweeting about this last night. I think these are two very different things. I think they both should have been. I would have cut both of them. I would not have, under any circumstance, I would not have allowed Draymond Green, who violently assaulted a coworker, to remain on my roster. And I would not have allowed an anti-Semite and somebody who espouses anti-Semitic views to be on my roster.
Here's the issue I have with comparing the Draymond thing and the Kyrie thing. The Draymond thing, whether you like it or not, is not like him punching Jordan Poole at practice is not the same as someone getting punched in the office at their desk because they're frustrated with a spreadsheet, right? It's two different things. Like in sports, they live in fantasy land. This is not the real world, right? So you have to understand that Draymond Green having an altercation with Jordan Poole in practice is not going to be handled the same way as Jimmy getting down and throwing hands in the office. It's two different things, and I don't like that. I wish it was adjudicated the same way. It should be. That is the proper way to go about it, but that's just not the world we live in. And so to me, saying that comparing Kyrie Irving to Draymond Green is asinine in my opinion, because it's not anti-Semitic, it's not racism, it's not like it's two teammates.
It is workplace violence though. I mean,
yes, but it's not yes, it's workplace violence, but it's never going to be treated like a 9-to-5 employee punching another 9-to-5 employee.
But
like, that's not how it works.
But I think, and Mike, I don't speak for Mike Maples in any way, shape, or form, but what I got from Mike's tweets and his comment this morning, why does the NBA tolerate this stuff? These are self-made problems.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why I go to this thing with the Nets. Like, I think the Nets are responsible for this situation. You kept Kyrie on your team. You knew the devil was there. And they say the devil you know is better than the one you don't. I agree with that. You should have traded Kyrie to the Lakers. Let this be the Lakers' problem, man.
And I agree with the sentiment that the NBA is allowing these issues to continue to happen. Like, yeah, like you could have dropped the hammer on both of these guys. And you should have dropped the hammer on Draymond Green. That, like we talked about on the show, that should have been like 20, 30 games.
The problem is and if you don't remember, Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the face at practice. And they said that they didn't cut or suspend Kyrie because they felt he had earned the right to celebrate the championship. Draymond, excuse me. They didn't cut Draymond or suspend him because they felt like he had earned the right to be part of the championship ceremony, which is an absolute joke.
Yeah.
And I lost all respect for the Warriors right there. This Kyrie thing, Joe Tsai continues to lay down. And what this is Joe Tsai sending a message to every player in the NBA. Here's who I am. This is what I'm willing to accept. That's what he's doing. And that they didn't trade Kevin Durant and they didn't trade Kyrie. Well, it worked out for about 15 seconds. And to your credit, and to a lot of our listeners' credit, you all said this was going to blow up in their face. And guess what? It blew up in their face now. Because there's no way to save this.
Yeah.
You either cut Kyrie or you trade him. And if I'm Joe Tsai, if I can get a first-round pick from the Lakers, I'm making that trade today. Because it solves everybody's problems. The problem is, I don't know that the Lakers will do that trade now.
Yeah, I think he's damaged goods.
Because I don't see how you can support him on your team. You know, like yeah. Jeremy Sevier says, what disappoints me is that athletes don't even get the proper punishment. 5-day suspension is nothing to him. Any other person would be fired and sued. Don't disagree with that. Maple says it would be like him posting anti-Mormon material playing for the Jazz. Totally agree.
100%. And that's what I'm saying, like, comparing, like, again, I want to be really clear because I don't want to see comments like, oh, like, you're advocating for Draymond. I'm not advocating for Draymond, right? Like, the guy, they should have dropped the hammer on him. What he did was completely inappropriate, like, obviously.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is that comparing Draymond getting in a fight at practice is different and probably not a great idea when you're comparing it to essentially, you know, racism and anti-Semitism.
Yeah, like, being a racist and a bigot is never okay.
Like, I just don't think it. I like, yes, they're both wrong, but what Kyrie is doing right now is likely something that's going to end his career. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Yep. Punching some dude in the face at practice is not going to end your career.
Yeah, sadly. McKinley Cutler gives us $2 and says, dude went full Kanye. Never go full Kanye. Never.
And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can clearly see. So, like, obviously, I'm sure everyone watching the show, you probably have seen Kanye posting about Kyrie. Nobody cares about that per se, because Kanye is Kanye. We all know what you're buying there,
yes.
right? The issue is with Kyrie, I feel like he's still got this sliver of hope to save himself, and you can still see the parallels in what he says and what Kanye is saying, dude.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem.
I agree. Raptor88 says, come on, casuals, hit the like button. Yes, please do hit the like button, casuals. Give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. It absolutely makes a difference. It helps the channel grow. Thanks so much. And again, we do actually have a goal here. We are trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the year, and I've been terrible at doing this. We're at 7,760 subscribers on this channel, so please give us a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. Robert Lambert says playing in the NBA is not a right, it's a privilege. I agree.
Agreed.
Maple says forcing him in front of the media would seem forced and not believed if he did. There definitely could be. I'm so glad social media didn't exist when I was younger. Chris P., you ain't kidding.
Yeah, dude.
Me too. Lopes fan Gabe says, how many chances is Kyrie going to get at making this apology? I feel like we're talking about his 4th or 5th attempt at this point. Too many. Too many, in my opinion. He should go on JJ Redick's podcast. Oh, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. He should go on JJ Redick's podcast. McKinley Cutler said, dude went full Kanye. Yes, he did. Caleb says, Kyrie kept it real and wrote on Twitter and said he meant no disrespect to anyone's religious belief. What else do you all want him to do? I think the hard part is he can't say it. And I think there is also, by the way, I think there is some anxiety in Kyrie when it comes to the media. I think Kyrie does not trust the media at all. I think he is an adversarial figure when it comes to the media. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe justifiably so, I don't know.
What else do I want him to do? I want him to the first chance he gets with the media, I want him to go full stop on, hey, I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not someone who hates Jews. That's what I want him to do. I want him to say, hey, those are not my beliefs. I made a mistake by tweeting that, and I really do apologize. That was obviously not well thought out, and that doesn't represent who I am, and I understand why it's so offensive. If
he'd have said what he wrote, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Like, I feel like Twitter is the lifeblood of the NBA community, I feel like. Guys will tweet things, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I can just tweet an apology, and that's good enough. Like, that's not how the world works.
Not especially when it comes to race and bigotry. It just is.
It works.
Yeah, it just.
So what I want him to do is I want him to get in front of the media, and I want him to keep it real, and I want him to have to speak the words that I apologize and I was wrong. That's what I want.
Chris P says, like it or not, what Draymond did was a crime. What Kyrie did wasn't. Well, you're not wrong. You know, Macho Man. Hey, by the way, thank you, Joe, for coming in. The Macho Man came in, says, thanks, guys. Sorry I was in a rush. You had to get to work. Thank God the Maverick Center is next to hopefully my former house. Well, I'm okay. I'm glad you were here, Macho Man. You guys have been amazing. So many people have come by. Britt's got Mrs. Monty's got about 15 tickets left for the Powerball. Just come to the Maverick Center, walk up the front stairs, top right side of the staircase. You'll see the bright light. Come get your free Powerball ticket. $1.5 billion. The drawing is tomorrow. Mike Maple says they'll never be treated the same. I get it. I agree, Jake. The Nets knew what Kyrie was when they signed him, and then they re-signed him. Yeah. But you know the thing I don't get about guys like Kyrie? Why do you not leverage the media? Leverage the media for good and for your purpose.
Yeah.
Use the media. Talk to the media when you need the media. And I'm a big believer in being prepared. If you're Kyrie, you have to have a prepared statement memorized. When you get in front of the cameras, you shouldn't take questions. You should make a statement and walk away. Why does Donovan Mitchell rarely stand in front of cameras? Because he knows it's almost a no-win situation. Why is Danny Ainge not talking about Donovan Mitchell but wants to talk about, hey, this roster is amazing? Because he's leveraging the media.
Yeah.
That's why. Why does Kyle Whittingham rarely do media interviews and never has media at practice? Because there's no advantage for him. Leverage the media. Use them when you need them. Avoid them when you don't.
Yep.
I mean, it is not rocket science. But yet he won't do that. He just won't do that. Robert Lambert, good morning to you. If I'm the Nets, I'm done. Bye-bye, Kyrie. Good luck in China or wherever they will let you play because it won't be in the NBA. If they cut him, I think his career's over in the NBA.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, I don't see how anybody picks that up. It's such a dumpster fire. Teddy Wayman says, I think this could be Kyrie's last season in the NBA. I think it could be.
Yeah.
And I just maintain I would have cut both Draymond and Kyrie and nobody would have signed them. Because you can't have workplace violence and you can't have an anti-Semite on your roster.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Caleb says he won't ever leverage the media because he thinks the media is evil. Every said the media tried to create him into a sidekick back in Cleveland. That he did say. Ever since he has decided to become his own person. Well, and he has said, part of his belief system with this, and I don't want to get into this documentary, but part of the belief system with this documentary is that the media is controlled by the Jewish community and that their narrative is the only narrative.
Yeah, and that's where I hear the Kanye parallels because that's exactly what Kanye says.
Yes. Josh Loverin says, how would SLC look at Kyrie on the Jazz? They wouldn't.
They wouldn't because they wouldn't sign him.
They wouldn't. I don't.
No way.
No.
No
I
way.
just don't see. I don't see how that's even a possibility. Jazz at the Lake Show tonight. Lakers are a 2-point favorite. The number's 226.5. 8:30 because that game's at crypto.com arena.
Staples Center.
The Lakers are all of a sudden a 2-point favorite.
You win 2 games, and all of a sudden you're a good team.
That feels disrespectful to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, sure, the Lakers have names, but I have no problem saying I expect the Jazz to win this game. I expect the Jazz to come out, play fast, outrun the Lakers, and probably win this game by 10 points. Like that's
you do? Wow.
I do. Yeah, because I think I know for a fact the Lakers don't play with pace. It took by basketball standards basically a miracle to win that game, right? Where Buddy hits that shot out of the corner to go to overtime, and great. I understand, great moment, loved it as a fan, loved it. But when I look at X's and O's and I look at how the Lakers go about winning basketball games, like you've won 2 games here, that's it. Like it's not like you've all of a sudden Anthony Davis all of a sudden has an ironclad back and LeBron all of a sudden feels perfect, and that's just not where that team is at. And so that's why I say I look at the Jazz and I say, hey man, you found a way to lose the Dallas game. You were in control of that game. You were up 15 and you just didn't play defense. You weren't disciplined. And that's okay. That's totally fine. You're going to make mistakes. They're going to learn from that stuff. That's fine. The effort is there. Against the Lakers, you're not going to have to deal with Luka. You're not going to have to deal with this savage who's going to give you 40. So to me, I look at this and I say, hey, the Lakers have names, but the Jazz are fast. They work their ass off, and they should get every 50-50 ball.
One of the things I find interesting about this is Los Angeles still prestigious? Is LA still the LA Lakers, the purple and gold? Is because it doesn't feel like that. And I understand everybody goes through these cycles, but their last championship was the bubble championship, and it feels like that's almost like an asterisk, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like these are certainly not the Magic and Kareem Lakers. They're certainly not the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. But are they still the Lakers? It's the Lakers, man. And it doesn't feel like it is. It feels like this franchise has lost its identity. And you have this odd parallel of the Jazz, who seemingly lost their identity. You trade away Rudy and Don, all these changes. The Vivint Arena looks completely different now. The rebrand, anonymous faces, and uniforms we don't recognize. Yet they're winning games. And we're all excited about the Jazz. And then you have the Lakers. And it's still Staples / crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still the purple and gold. And it's still the Lake Show. But it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
And it's just these two sides of a coin that feel like completely opposite. And it's just an interesting conversation where the Celtics feel like the Celtics. And the Lakers don't feel like the Lakers. This league feels so different to me now. And I know, like, if you look at what the Warriors are going through and how unhappy Steve Kerr is, and they lose by 1 to Orlando, and I mean, it's this whole conversation about how they've got to look in the mirror. You just won a championship, and you still feel like the Warriors, right? The faces and the uniforms are the same.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that about the Lakers, and I just feel like it's this odd time, and their refusal to admit that LeBron James, in my opinion, has been a failure in LA. Their refusal to move on from Anthony Davis. Their refusal to move on from Russell Westbrook, to make a trade with the Jazz, or to make the Kyrie deal, or to... It just seems like this incarnation of the Lakers has so much self-inflicted damage that they've actually lost their identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how do you get that back?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to reshape the team. I mean, I like, it's no longer like saying, hey, it's a LeBron James led team used to mean that you were going to the finals pretty much guaranteed. Like, you could just book it. But now it's not like that anymore. And that's okay. Like, I think a lot of people get, like, you know, edgy about, like, hey, LeBron can't take his team to the finals anymore. Dude, he's been in the league 20 years now. Like, what more needs to be said? Like, at some point, as an organization, you have to build a quality roster. It's not just, oh, we're going to go and buy guys and kind of put it together. Like, you know, everyone said, oh, well, when the Yankees got eliminated, that was like the perfect example of, hey, you can't buy championships. And I think in the NBA, still to this day, you can't buy championships. Like,
no.
I look at Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland and I say, dude, like that team, like, they have a chance to be special because that team was largely built through the draft, much like the Warriors, largely built through the draft.
Largely.
And then you traded for your last final dominoes.
You drafted Steph, Dre, and Clay, and then you traded for guys like Kevin Durant who rekindled that fire, and you know, you brought in the Steve Kerrs, you brought in the coaches, the general manager, like
you built around this foundation.
Yeah, the Lakers came in, bought the team, injected cash, you draft really well for 4 years. And then you fill in all these gaps, the Andre Iguodalas of the world, if you will. And then, you know, that championship run comes to an end and you bring in Kevin Durant and, like, you just do all these things. Then you go and get Andrew Wiggins and you've just continued to backfill. This Laker team has never drafted well.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I just go back to the Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart trade. Those were all your draft picks and you spent them on a guy who can't stay healthy in Anthony Davis. So I think that's a huge problem. All of our basketball talk, including the Utah Jazz, presented by TryDayTrading.com. Make sure you get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. And if you don't want to take my word for it, you know our best friend who we have spent absolutely no time with ever, and we've never talked in person, Alema Harrington.
Alema Harrington here. You know, I've been in the broadcast business going on 30 years now. And after that amount of time, you start to be able to pick some winners. I want to share a winner that I'm aware of with you, and that is my guys at Tri-Day Trading. They're going to teach you how to trade, and then they're going to let you trade using their money and then split the profits with you. That's a pretty winning deal. If you want to register for a free webinar, all you have to do is go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. So for more information, it's TryDayTrading.com/Monty. We'll see you there.
Thanks, Alema. And I think it's been really interesting to hear from our listeners who have gone to TryDayTrading.com/Monty and watched the webinar. It absolutely changes your perspective. And as we've talked about a lot this morning with people going through layoffs, and now we're starting to see that Silicon Slopes and tech companies that are so prevalent here in Utah are hiring freezes and laying people off. I just, again, encourage you, stop relying on that every 2-week paycheck and start relying on yourself. Start doing the things you've always wanted to do, and you can build that with day trading. And is it easy? No. But that's why you go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty, because they are going to educate you, they're going to train you, they're going to mentor you, and they are going to coach you. And you have people every single day that have gone through the Tri-Day Trading course and the program and the mentorship and are in the coaching that are making hundreds and thousands of dollars every day. And everybody that goes through that program raves about it. Their Google reviews, their tributes. Like if you look at the way that their students go through and come out the other side, and on their website, and our listeners have great stories about how, hey, you know what, there's one guy that was working at a grocery store. I was working 70 hours a week. I worked every Christmas and every Thanksgiving, and now he's a day trader and he works for himself and he doesn't work at the grocery store anymore. And to me, that's why trydaytrading.com/Monty is your ticket out. And the only thing that I would tell you is it costs you nothing to watch the webinar.
Yeah.
And if you watch the webinar, it's not your thing, man. Hey, we get it. Move on. It's all good. If you don't feel like that's the right thing for you, you don't have to continue with it.
Yeah.
But I think what you're going to see is what most people say. You watch that webinar and you realize that it's absolutely, positively the way to go. At trydaytrading.com/Monty. Please make sure you tell me you heard about it on the Monty Show. Let's get a couple more of your thoughts in here. Big Dog O-Town, my guy, what's up? I tell you right now, if it's a close game where the refs have to be a deciding factor, they will in the Lakers' favor. You feel me?
Shout to Mobamba.
Well, you know what I would say, Big Dog, is that LeBron gets calls. And as he should, he's earned that. Anthony Davis does not get calls. I'm telling you right now, he does not get calls.
Y'all feel me?
And when I'm like, exactly. When I'm the Utah Jazz and you're in Los Angeles at crypto, I think you should expect the Lakers to get calls.
There's
Absolutely, they should.
That. That's how the league works.
When you're at Vivint, you should expect the Jazz to get calls. And they do. They absolutely do. The thing I want to see tonight from the Jazz is I want to see them get to the free throw line more often. Make it a way of life. And I don't understand in the NBA why the lower end teams don't do what the best teams in the league do. Hey, we're struggling and the other team's on a run. I'm going to get to the basket and get fouled. It is what you miss so much about the Rudys and the Dons. You could always give Rudy the ball and you knew almost every time he was going to get fouled.
Yeah.
Right? And on this team now, the Markkanens of the world need to be alpha males, get fouled, get to the free throw line. Lauri Markkanen's a great free throw shooter. You know, and one of the other things I want to talk about today with this Utah Jazz team is Jordan Clarkson playing to prove something? Because I think it's really interesting, the position that Jordan Clarkson is in. Does Jordan Clarkson have something to prove tonight?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think when you talk about like the Jazz doing a deal with the Lakers and, you know, they're going into crypto, like, yeah, obviously Jordan Clarkson like has history there. Obviously Jordan Clarkson as a young guy was a Laker, and I think that it's no secret that Jordan Clarkson is someone that teams are going to call on. So when you go into someone else's building and it's the Lakers, like I would expect Jordan to have a 25, 30-point performance. Like I would expect him to look to ball out, you know? And so, yeah, I do think he's got something to play for. I think from a bigger picture career perspective, he also has a lot to play for. If you ever want to get that big boy contract, you know, that $80, $90 million contract, you know, you have to be a starter in the league. For most guys anyway, I know there's some exceptions, but generally speaking, you got to be a starter in this league to get that big money. And so I think for Jordan, like, he understands it, and that's why I think you're seeing the development in his passing game. That's why I think you're seeing, you know, him try to really apply himself to this scheme and make the right play. However, you're still seeing the bad shot selection. You're still seeing sometimes, not as much, but sometimes, you're still seeing the issues that plague Jordan Clarkson. So I absolutely think he's got a lot to play for.
Yeah, that's interesting. By the way, Boyd Lake says, guys, football 50 in 8 minutes. Get ready for the music. Hey,
guys.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Eric C. says, I think it's worse for the league seeing a giant like the Spurs being where they are at the end rather than the Lakers.
Hello.
I think it's worse for the league seeing a giant like the Spurs being where they are at the end like the Lakers. Well, I think it's interesting that the difference for me is, and this is just my opinion, I think when the Lakers lose bad, it's bad for the league. If the Spurs win, I think it's a good story, small market. If the Spurs lose, does anybody hear the tree fall in the woods?
Hey, guys.
Probably not. And by the way, how about this Josh Primo situation? Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the update on the Josh Primo situation?
Oh, man.
Holy Moses. So you know that Josh Primo's a guy that was a lottery pick, and the Spurs had high hopes for him. But all of a sudden last week they cut him. And people are like, well, what happened? Well, nobody knew. And then yesterday, good old Busby, the same attorney that represents all the women suing Deshaun Watson, released a statement from a sports psychologist that had worked with the San Antonio Spurs. And on multiple occasions, starting in December of 2021, this sports psychologist, who was a woman, went to the San Antonio Spurs and said Primo was exposing himself to her during their sessions.
No.
And that she wanted it to stop. And the Spurs would not take action, allegedly did not take action, would not take action. Finally, she went to them in January and said, if you're not going to do something, I'm going to do something. And the Spurs assured her, we'll handle it. Greg Popovich is aware of it. We'll take care of it. And it didn't stop. And now she has filed suit, and she intends to file a criminal complaint against Josh Primo for indecent exposure. Now, having said that, Tony Busby, the attorney for this sports psychologist, also threatened the exact same thing with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And nothing ever came of those criminal charges. It could be, and likely is, a ploy to get a larger financial settlement from the Spurs and Josh Primo. But what is going on with this dude, man? Are you kidding me?
I don't know what you say about it other than, the guy. I always hesitate when I say, hey, dude's not well, right? Like, I don't like to just accuse people of not being well mentally, but imagine what that looks like. Can you just imagine, all right, you're walking in to see a sports psychologist, right? Which is totally something that is the norm in the NBA.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
not like uncouth.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, that's normal operating procedure. But the idea that this dude thinks it's okay to expose himself, and there is a part of me who's like, well, did he actually just walk in there and like in their middle of their session, like expose himself? Probably not. There's probably more context to it than that, honestly. Like if we're like, it doesn't like...
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that he got to this level if he's someone who would just walk into a room in a session and just expose himself.
If he's a sexual deviant who walks in wearing basketball practice shorts and then just drops trowel.
Like that doesn't
Come on.
add up